Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly and this channel is all about creating print-on-demand designs using Canva. So if that is something that you're interested in, please do stick around. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create this design right here. This is the first of several Thanksgiving style fall designs that I'm going to show you guys. So this one says "Talk Turkey to Me," and it's using different plaid masks over the text. And so it's this is a good introduction to fall. If you would like to learn about this technique and the style, please do stick around. So here we are on Canva's home page. I am going to be designing for a t-shirt today. So I'm going to go ahead and select a custom size right here in the right hand corner. And I'm going to be designing on 4500 by 5400 pixels. So we'll just go ahead and start with that. I do like to design for black just because it is the top selling t-shirt color. So that is what I like to optimize for. But of course you can design on any color that you want. But I'm just going to go ahead and select black for my background color. Now today's design is going to be a sort of fall Thanksgiving style design with a little bit of humor. And what I'm going to do is create a text design. It's going to say "Talk Turkey to Me" with a picture of a turkey. And then we're going to go ahead and add some sort of fall plaid clipping masks. And so the first thing I want to do is come up with what would essentially be my frame. So I'm going to start with some text boxes. So I'm just going to hit T on the keyboard. And from here, the first thing I'm going to put is talk. So it's going to say "Talk Turkey to Me." And so that's line number 1. And I'm just going to put it right here in the middle. Pull up another text box just by hitting T on my keyboard. And put turkey. And then one more time hit T on the keyboard. And then we'll put "to me." So here we go. "Talk turkey to me." And this is going to be a pretty simple design. I'm just going to kind of show you how you can create the style. I think I'm going to have these all in caps too. So if you want to put everything in caps, just click on one of your text boxes. And when you come up here to this uppercase, lowercase, little a, you can just do that and switch everything into all caps, or you could switch it back. So I think that's going to be better. Because I'm putting a clipping mask on the text, you want to pick a font that is going to be very bold, because whenever you put a clipping mask on it and you want to be able to see it, you need a very bold font. So let's go ahead and start by selecting that. So I'm going to go over to where my font selection is, click there, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a search for bold. So I'm going to look for bold fonts. All right, let's see, and search for bold. All right, and so right here we've got a bunch of bold fonts coming up. And so I do want to keep it pretty simple, but again, nice and bold. Something like that might look cool. And of course, if I like something, I can hit change all and it'll change all so you can see what that looks like. So "Talk Turkey to Me," and that one might be good, but let's go ahead and keep seeing if we find anything else that we like. Groovy styles are always popular, by the way. You'll see it in a lot of different designs, that sort of groovy retro style. So if you find one that you like that's more groovy, that might be really good too. I would go ahead and say don't do anything that's going to have any texture to it, because we're putting a clipping mask on it. So I don't want anything textured. I want, pretty much filled in and smooth edges as I'm picking. But beyond that, you can kind of play and pick whatever you want. And so take your time to pick out the font that you want. Font really can, make the shirt if you pick a good font, and it can kind of destroy the shirt if you pick a bad font. And so I am pretty much looking for something simple, easy to read, but bold. And so you can sort of play around, see if there's anything you like better. So by the way, the more narrow the font that you choose, the bigger you can make it to make it fill the page. So something like that. Versus if I picked a really wide font, something like this, and then I made it fill the page, you can see it doesn't take up nearly as much space. And so whenever you're trying to work on filling the page, just think about whether you want more of a wide font or more of a narrow font, and how that's going to fill the page. So for example, turkey being a longer word, I may need it to be a little bit more of a narrow font, Whereas because this line and this line are a little bit shorter, I might go ahead and pick more of a wide font. I could have them all the same font, I could have them different fonts, and so lots of ways that you can play with it. And so it's definitely worth, by the way, playing with these to kind of figure out what it is that you like. And so that one kind of looks cool. I do like that bottom one better because it's a little bit more bold. But now what we have here is these two are about the same size now. So if I did it more like this, you can see how it's going to fill the page a little bit better if I wanted it to go all the way across. Now you don't have to have it go all the way across too, all different styles that you can go with. So if you wanted to, for example, just, actually this is the same as that. Let's make this one Sergio trendy. Let's go up here with the Sergio trendy. There it is. Shrink that down. Okay, sorry. So I was saying you could have different styles. So if you wanted the lines to be the same length, you could do it something like this. If you wanted the lines to not be the same length, you could. If you wanted it centered, that's one way to do it. If you want it off, to the side, that's another way to do it. So there's all different ways, that you can play with these. It depends how, kind of big and bold you want it all to be. So something like this really fills the page. That's really bold. So it really just, kind of depends on what you're going for. I do like that. It's going to fill the page nicely, so I may end up sticking with something like this just so that I can, demonstrate the technique here really easily. And so that's kind of cool right there. Talk turkey to me, and it's nice and big. And then what I wanted to do is put a little turkey down here. And so I could go over to the left-hand side of the page and go up to the tab that says Elements. And from there we can go ahead and do some searches. So I can search for turkey. Now, of course, you're going to have to switch back and forth between the animal and the country, but you can figure that out. So here's lots of different turkeys. I'm looking for something that will make for a good silhouette. Now, it doesn't have to be a silhouette style design, by the way, because if I'm putting a clipping mask on it, it's just going to do the overall shape. So you can pick anything that you want that has the shape that you want, even if it's not a solid silhouette like this. So you don't necessarily have to do one that's more of a solid silhouette. You can definitely pick any one that you want if you just like the overall shape. But go ahead, spend some time and look at your different options. You may actually try out a few different ones just to see what ends up looking the best. And so you can definitely play with it all you want. I like this one, but it does have a little bit of texture here that I'm not sure will look good with the clipping mask because I'm going to be doing a plaid. Now I could try to just fill that in, and that would be something I could do. Or I could keep looking and see if I can find a better turkey shape. Here's one that's a lot more solid, but it's a little bit more tall and narrow. And I do like the fact that this one's a little bit wider because it fills up the page a little bit better. So if I did that, you can see it's not going to fill up the bottom as much. And so I'm not super fond of that one. This one I'm liking the shape the most. And so I can just keep looking. Now you can see right here with this one, I could use this one because it's going to give a nice solid shape. And you can just ignore the colors in here for right now because we are just going to use it as a frame for like a silhouette. And so this one is very similar, but it's going to not have that grunge that I don't necessarily want. So this one might be a better option for a silhouette. If you want to see how it's going to look as a silhouette, by the way, you can always click on it, go up to edit image, and if it allows you to use the duotone feature, that is an easy way, and not all of them will. Yeah, here we go, duotone. What you can do is pick any one of these colors, hit the three little buttons, and then change both the highlight and shadow color to white. And so if I do it this way, you can see apply, and that is going to be my silhouette shape. And so I do like that shape, and I'm going to get rid of the grunge. So I may stick with this one as the new front runner, but I can keep looking until I'm satisfied. Another option that you could think of, by the way, if you didn't want to do the live turkey, would be to do a silhouette of more of the cooked turkey. So if you were to pick one of these and just use that as a silhouette, that could be your that could be the turkey that you put on here. So for example, I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing here so you guys can see that as a silhouette. Okay, that's it as a silhouette. It doesn't read as obvious as this does, and so if you were to go this route, you'd have to pick something where the silhouette really does read turkey, and so that doesn't look super obvious. Maybe if it was one that had a plate under it, it might work a little bit better. Hard to say. There's just so many different options that you guys can play with, so definitely feel free to play with this a lot. Here's a turkey silhouette, turkey dinner silhouette that's already a silhouette, and so you can see sort of that style there is one way that you could go with it too. That's kind of funny. Depends how funny you want it to be or how just more turkey style you want it to be. So again, play with all of your options. I'm gonna go ahead just for time's sake and let's just stick with this turkey right here because I think that's gonna be easy. So this is really easy. There's nothing super special about this design. It just says talk turkey to me and it's got the turkey at the bottom. And so there's, like I said, really nothing incredibly special about the layout. So I can go ahead and title this though, talk turkey to me, and call it a frame. And so we're gonna go ahead and download this. I'm gonna hit download. It's a transparent background, PNG, and I'm just gonna hit download. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start looking for masks that we can put in here. And so now this will work with whatever mask that you want to do. I'm going to go with more of a fall plaid pattern, but you can do anything that you want. Matter of fact, if I was just to put in fall pattern, you can see what comes up there. So different fall patterns that you could use. And so some of these look kind of nice with the leaves. There's some Halloween ones. You're looking more for just general fall, Thanksgiving style, but you can see there's some plaids in there too. I mean, you could also go to photos and see what comes up. Here's a nice plaid there that looks pretty good. I could again just go ahead and go with fall, and I could put plaid and see what comes up, or I can just go with general plaid and see what comes up. Now right now I'm on photos. Let's go ahead and go back to graphics, and you can see here lots of different plaids. And now there's already some awesome things that have plaid clipping masks. So you can see the pumpkins that already have some of those plaid clipping masks, a heart with the plaid clipping masks. So plaid clipping masks are pretty popular. So you may just play around and see kind of what you think looks the best. If you are going to put this on a dark shirt though, you're going to want to pick a lighter color plaid because you don't want it to blend in. So if you went with something that was a little like dark, like more of the buffalo plaid here, it may not pop as well as you'd like on the dark background, whereas in something like this, you can see the pumpkin here, that's going to pop a lot better. So you might want to shoot for some of the lighter color plaids, but go ahead and look for whatever style you want. Here's one that looks kind of good. And if you don't see what you want, you can of course always just lose the fall and just put plaid, and a whole bunch of plaids will come up. And some of these will allow you to change the colors. And if that's the case, then you can kind of pick whatever colors you want. So here's a good plaid here. I like it. This one's not going to let me change the colors. Doesn't mean that I couldn't do some photo effects on it and maybe increase the contrast or the brightness to make it how I want. So let's say I was going to put that right over the turkey. And what the heck, let's go ahead and go to edit photo because I do think it's a little bit darker than I'd like. I can come to adjust and I can bring that brightness sort of up a little bit, make it a little bit brighter there. And of course, if I want to, I could increase that saturation a little bit. I could increase the vibrance. I could make the whites a little bit whiter, so you can sort of play with that. Make the darks a little bit darker, and that's just going to increase that contrast there. And so you can see how you can, again, play with these until you get it sort of the way you want. Even if it doesn't allow you to change the color the traditional way, there's still ways that you can play with it and sort of make it work for you. So just be aware of that too. So let's say I was going to go with that one. Looks like a good option. This one's kind of plain, but it might be a good option too. If it's a nice, let's see here. Good. If it's a nice seamless pattern, what you should be able to do is put it whatever size you want. Hit Control D, that's going to duplicate it. And if it's a seamless pattern and it works right, you should be able to put it right next to the other one. And it should just look like it's going. Now there's a little bit of a gap there. I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to move it over 1 pixel at a time until that little gap is filled. And then I can repeat the process. Hit Control D again, move it over. Oops. And then another one, a little bit of a gap still. You can kind of see. Do that until the gap closes, and then one more time. Control D, and again, make sure that there's no little gap there. And so that looks really cool. So that one might be a good mask for that. I can keep looking. So I can do a variety of different plaids. I could do it all the same plaid, but that's kind of boring. That's very similar to that one, so you can keep looking. You can always again check to see if it'll let you change the colors, so you can always click on it and look. See, this one just lets me change the colors. I wouldn't have known it, but here now I can. So I can go ahead then if I want to, and let's go ahead and make the green more of a really light orange, and so you can see sort of how that would look. And so now I've got the light orange, the cream. I could keep the black, or I could switch that out for maybe a darker brown. And so something like that looks pretty cool. I could take this cream color. I could even make that a little bit lighter if I wanted to. It's already pretty light. But something like that looks kind of cool. And so again, I could shrink that down and maybe put that one so that it overlaps over the turkey like that, and repeat the process. Hit Control D, assuming it's a nice seamless pattern. This should work. Now, not everything is going to be a seamless pattern, so you do have to check to make sure it is. And if you can't see the gaps, if they're really small, you can always go down to the bottom of your page and sort of zoom in here so that now I can see there is a tiny bit of a gap. I don't want any gaps. And then hit Control D and just keep lining these up. Control D, Control D, Control D. Make sure I don't have any gaps that I can see. Everything looks pretty good. And so one more. Now I could repeat this again if I wanted it to look like more of a sandwich style. I could go with an entirely different one here. So I could keep looking, see if there's any that I like. I like that I went with sort of different styles. So this is more just the buffalo style. This one's got the big lines and the little lines, but it's still more vertically based. This one's got more of the diagonal style, and so you can make them different. You can make them all the same. Lots of ways you can go with that. Here's another one that you could use. This one's more of a watercolor style, so it's not really going to go, but it's always okay to kind of look at them, play with them, see if there's anything that you like. And so there's all sorts of plaids. Now you will notice most of these plaids have this pro feature on it. So again, this is an example of why I have the pro version. If I didn't have the pro version, most of these plaids I wouldn't necessarily be able to use, and that would be frustrating to say the least. So I do like having the option to use whatever, style I want. And so here's another cool one here that I like. This one is very similar to the one down here. It's just different colors. So you can see very similar in terms of the diagonal style there. And so I could do something like that if I wanted to. I'd have to see how it works with the overall look and the overall colors. Let me zoom it out because I want everything to sort of look like it meshes. And so that is one option there. I'm still just kind of looking to see what my choices are. I might end up just doing a sandwiched look because I think that that'll keep it pretty clean. Sometimes if you do too much, there's a diagonal one, it gets a little bit messier. Remember, sometimes less is more, so Sometimes trying to keep it simple is the best way to go. Now, if you don't have Pro and you want to do this and you can't find any plaids, your other option would be to go to Creative Fabrica. There's lots of different plaid ones there, lots of free ones that you can download and then just upload. And so, for example, I went up to my uploads here and I uploaded a bunch of different plaids that I got off of Creative Fabrica. And so I could use any of these, and these are all good plaid options that are kind of fall colors. I got some tie-dyes too that I liked, but any one of these fall styles might look good. It would have to sort of match that one. And this one here, that one kind of looks cool. And I wouldn't have to shrink it down too much. I would have to crop it because I don't want the plaid to be, you know, for example, that tiny. That's just way too tiny. So I would want it to be, you know, something more like that, and then just crop it down so it's just covering where I want. And so that is a good option right there. Matter of fact, that's one I might end up just going with just to keep it easy. So let's say I took that and then I Control D. Let's see if this is a nice seamless pattern for me. Should be. And use my arrow keys. And that looks pretty good. I think that works nicely. Okay, so when I do it like that, it's pretty close, and I could do that one more time here. And so that looks pretty good. And so that's just giving me a nice variety of fall colors. And so you can see how that looks. And of course you could play with all of the other ones too. Here's another diagonal one. Not really a fan of that one. This one pulls in a little bit more greens. Don't really have any greens here. Here's another one. That one's totally green, so I'm not a fan of those, but these ones look good. So let's just go ahead and say we're going to do these for our masks. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out so you can see. I'm going to go ahead now and retitle this. I'm going to put Plaid Masks. And we're going to go ahead and download this. It can be a transparent background, but for this it doesn't have to be, so whatever you like. And we will just do that. And then I'm going to jump over to Photopea. And now we've done this process a whole bunch of times on Photopea, showing you how to make clipping masks. So it should be pretty quick and pretty easy once this downloads. Perfect. So now that's downloaded, I'm just going to jump over to Photopea. So again, if you just type photopea.com into your browser, this page should come up. If you hit this middle button that says Open from Computer, it'll pull up your downloads. And from there, you should be able to download your Talk Turkey to Me frame. And this is what should come up. So there is my frame. From here, I should be able to go up to the top left-hand corner where it says File, click there. 3 spaces down, click Open and Place. That should pull up your downloads again, and this time you should be able to select your plaid masks and hit Open. And now this is what it should look like. The masks should be on top of the frame. The frame should be the background layer. You shouldn't be able to see it. The masks should be on top and it should be highlighted. And so as long as it looks like this, it should work. If you're having difficulty, it may be that you don't have the right layer highlighted or that you have the background in front of the mask. And so you can just kind of click and drag to make sure that these are all selected the way that they should be. Then you can go up to the top and go over to where it says Layer. You'll click there, and about halfway down you'll see a tab that says Clipping Mask. You click on that and it should work, and just put your clipping mask right on top of it. And it should be that quick and that easy. It should be less like boom, 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 and it's done. And from here I can go File, hit Export as a PNG. It should pull up a little box for me, and I should be able to download this really quickly. Okay, so here's the box. It's titled right here, Talk Turkey to Me. It's going to say frame. I can get rid of the frame and I can put plaid. Just title it different so that I know. It's still a PNG, still 4500 by 5400 pixels, and all I have to do is hit save. It'll download it super easy, and then I just jump right back over to my Canva page, and so it really should be that fast. And now I'm on my Canva page. What I can do if I want to is click add a page. That way I don't mess up anything up here in case I want to change anything. So I've just added an extra page. I'm already on my uploads, so from here I can just go ahead and hit upload files. It should pull up your downloads, and from there you should be able to select what you just made on Photopea. Boom. And now I can select that. I can close this, and so now you can see here is my Talk Turkey to Me, and I can go ahead and expand that out so it fills the page there, frame it how I want, and that by itself looks pretty good, and it really will pop on a nice dark shirt. But if you really want to make the edges stand out a little bit more, because with plaids it becomes a little bit different to see the edges. With plaids, an outline may be a good thing to do. So we can go ahead and try an outline here and see if that makes it pop just a little bit more. So I can click on this and just go to Edit Photo. And now from here, I'm on the new editor, but you can also do it with the old editor. You would go to the shadow feature. And this one just says something, has a tab that says outline. I can click there. You can select your outline color. So let's go ahead and say I was going to go with sort of that white color because it blends in a little bit. And maybe even if I wanted to make it just the tiniest bit more into that tan, I can do it just the tiniest bit into the tan, but keeping it nice and light. And then I'm going to take the size, and we're going to bring that size way down because I do want it to be a pretty narrow outline, but just enough that it gives a border around the darker areas. And so something like that looks pretty good. And of course, you can play with it. You can make it as thick of an outline as you want, as thin of an outline as you want. If you go really thick, that's what you're going to end up with. And so you can sort of see how that is going to look as you play with it and just stop where you think, hey, that looks pretty good. So for me, you know, I'm saying somewhere around 6, somewhere between 6 and 10 is where I'm at. So it's still nice and thin, and then I can just click anywhere out of that and it should apply it. And I'll give it a second just to make sure everything is finalized real good. But that is it. That is just a really simple design. And now you could do this technique for anything you want. So I've had people ask about putting different patterns inside of text, sometimes for for Halloween or for Christmas or for anything. It would be exactly the same thing. You just make your frame and then select whatever mask you want to put inside the text. And so it works with text, it works with graphics. You can see it there. So you can do Christmas patterns, you can do photos, you can do, you know, plaids, you can do pretty much anything that you want and make it into a mask. You can do gradients, look good too. So this is just a nice fall design, and we went with a nice light colored plaid just because I did really want it to stand out. If you go with too dark of a color, again, it might not pop very well. And so that looks good. Now, if you wanted to say, hey, I really like the turkey because the plaid is a lot bigger on the turkey, but it's a lot tighter here, no problem. We could still go up to our original one and say, hey, I want to make the plaid bigger, so it's more like that. And then you would have to, again, crop it down because you still want it to be the same height so that it's only covering the word that you want. But I could do that, and now it's a lot bigger. Now I could Control D there. And again, I can repeat the process. So I'll just show you this real quick. Okay, so I went ahead and just made all of the plaids just a little bit bigger and then repeated the process just so we could have a comparison. So this was our original one, and right here you can see the plaids are a little bit tighter and more detailed. And then here I went ahead and made the plaids a little bit bigger. And so looking back and forth between them, one thing that I'm noticing is that as I made it bigger, I feel like it made it a little bit darker because we've zoomed in on some of the lines that are the darker lines in the plaid. And so whether or not you like this one better or you like this one better, really just a matter of opinion. You could always throw them both up too if you're on like Amazon Merch on Demand and you've got lots of openings. Throw up different versions. I mean, nothing to stop you from doing that. So, you know, pick the ones that you like, but that's just how you can play again with the size of the plaid and whether or not you want it to be very tight or whether or not you want it to be very big. And so let's just go ahead and say that we're going to go with this one when I have it the way that I want it. Again, I want it centered in the page. I've got my outline on it. It looks good. Then I can just title it Talk Turkey to Me, and I'm going to put plaid and maybe outlined just so I know. And then I can go ahead and download this. Now I'm going to download it. It's a PNG. I'm going to need a transparent background, and when I've got more than one page here, I'm going to have to select the page that I want. So I'm going to select the current page, which is page number 2, and then go ahead and hit download, and it will be ready to go up on a t-shirt or anything else that you like. And of course, if you wanted to put this on a lighter color shirt, you could pick darker plaids, or you could just do a dark outline around it. So you could keep the same plaids, put a dark outline on it, and throw it on a lighter color shirt or a mug. So lots of different ways you could go with this. Very versatile and a great technique that you can be creative with and use on just all sorts of different things. So if you have any questions about this, again, throw it in the comment section below. I try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can, and I try to be as detailed as I can in these videos in terms of giving you different tips, tricks, and things to consider when you're thinking about your design. Again, just the best way to learn is to just take time and to play with it. And so to play with it, to make all of your different options and to sort of see what your choices are in terms of designing. So I hope you guys are doing well with your sales, and I do hope to see you guys again. That's it for today's video. If you found that useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.